Thank you guys for joining us for Closing the Distance, which is our unscripted conversations about life and faith. And I am so excited to interview Nathaniel Brooks, who is a new member of RPC. And I don't want to spoil his job, but it has to do with running, which was our sermon this past Sunday. So before we dive in, Nathaniel, tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, where you grew up, whatever you want to share.
My name's Nathaniel Brooks, and I actually moved to Georgia very, very young. I grew up in like the northern Gwinnett area, and then eventually went to UGA, graduated there, and then got a couple more degrees as a teacher. So I'm a teacher and a coach, and I live in Roswell, and we attend RPC now. We have for at least the last year, I believe, been members, and then we were attending for a little while previously as members, or before we were members. It's me and my wife Victoria. We both live in Roswell, and then now we have a about 8 month old Kit, and so Kit will be joining us here at church as well.
Oh, also, where does time go? Like, she was just born.
Yeah, she was born in January at the very beginning of the track season. And so that's a little bit of a spoiler. I am the head coach at Norcross High School for cross country and track and have been for the last 9 years.
9 years. That is so amazing. I'm going to ask you about your running journey as the sermon was about what we can learn about running for to inform our life and our faith. And there's a lot of opinions about something I want to get yours on. What is your favorite running shoe brand?
Oh, oh my goodness. My favorite running shoe brand. So as a coach, I'm always going to say your favorite running shoe brand is what it benefits you the most, right? I typically tell my runners not to go with Nike trainers. And the reasoning behind that, I'm actually wearing Nike trainers right now. The Vomeros, they've done exceptional work on keeping them a lot more cushioned and stuff like that. My wife has Hoka's. I typically ran in New Balance as my initials were NB. And then a lot of my runners will run in the Brooks for Coach Brooks. I'm going to argue that typically Nike shoes in a competitive setting are only worth it if you go to a very expensive Nike shoe, right? If you're going to more of a discount Nike shoe, they're more of a fashion shoe, which is wonderful for you if that's your thing. But if you are trying to train with heavy mileage, getting fitted with a proper shoe that fits your arch support and all those sort of things is what's going to be the best shoe for you. But I will say currently right now, I am wearing the Nike Vomeros.
Nice. I got Nikes for the first time. I'm obsessed with them. I mean, they were kind of expensive, so probably not what I would have gotten in high school, but I'm obsessed. Like
I,
they're pretty, they're cushiony. And I used to run in Brooks, and then before that I ran in Asics. So
okay, ASIC's not a bad shoe either. Absolutely.
things just change, you know?
It's a highly contested topic, but I would also say like it's what works for you. It doesn't
Yeah.
it's there you're not gonna see me coming from the clouds being like this is the best shoe. So
That's fair. That's fair. So about running, how did you become a runner? How did you be like, I like this pain?
funny enough, I I don't like running. I am a coach of runners and I have run my entire life. I don't like it. It's hard and not everyone likes doing hard things. I ran when I was younger because I was really good at it. And when you're good at things at a young age, you kind of get pushed into those things and it's that's fantastic, right? So I do have this love of running that I don't like to continue to run, right? I like to race
Mm,
because I think it's fun to put that like there's the idea of like Galatians 6:9 where like all the effort that you've put in at one day you will harvest it and be able to do something with it, which is really important with running. But I myself don't like running. I was a very lazy runner. I ran because I was good at it, but kind of a little background around me. Um, I grew up in a very toxic household. And with growing up in a toxic household, um, I wanted to not be at home. So I was constantly at church like 3 or 4 days a week. And at school, I would go to school early and I would stay at school late. And so running was a way of staying at school all the time.
mm.
And it kind of gave me a way of running away, but always knowing that I'd be coming back.
Wow. Wow. That is, it's incredible and it's heartbreaking and it's real. Yeah.
But running
Yep.
serves, and I think he said this last week, running serves so many different purposes, and what that purpose is to you or to all my athletes, because I have a ton of athletes that are super high level. Like I just had a young man commit to college for running this morning, which is fantastic. He's going to be attending Augusta, which is cool. But then I have some like elite runners that just don't want to do it anymore. And then I've got kids that have never run a day in their life and they're just wanting to finish a race. And whatever your why behind running is, it's important to do it.
Mm.
I can
So
just do it.
just do it. See, you were hating on Nike. Just kidding, you weren't. So I'm interested in your kind of moving from being a excellent runner to coaching such a vast array of people too. Some people who are like, I'll do a sport, don't have to buy much, to like really good runners. Like, how is your like when did you sense that call of moving from being a runner to a coach, and how's that transition gone?
So I almost feel like uh, that calling happened very, very early. So one of the things that I think is important to talk about is with me spending so much time away from home, there were a lot of male role models, right? They kind of stepped up for me in coaching. And I thought, okay, here's a way that I can then also kind of mirror what they had done and kind of give back a little bit. But you also can't go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to be this role model for this kid, right? If you do that, then they're going to shut you out. That's not why you do it. You can offer everything you've got, your time, your effort, and your compassion to the kids, and some will pick you up on it, and some that you really, really want to pick you up on it are not going to, and then others will fight you tooth and nail until they see the light, and then they get real excited, and they are the ones that will hold on to your connection for years and years and years, even though you thought there was no shot that kid was going to fall in love with it.
That's amazing. Yeah, I ran track in middle school. I ran track and cross country in high school. I did not decide to continue in college because I have no discipline. Just kidding. But you know, I just wouldn't, I feel like I didn't apply myself as much. I really was someone who used running as good exercise and great friendships. I made friends for life. And I continue to run on and off as an adult, but I was definitely more of the like utilizing the social aspect. At my senior banquet, I remember my coach meeting my mom or like reconnecting with my mom, and my little brother had started running, and he was so fast. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, you're Matt's mom. Oh wow, he is so fast. He's a great athlete." And he's like, "Oh, and Morgan, we love
We
her.
had a
She's
great
very
time.
social. She's very social." I was like, "Wow." So, come one, come all, you know?
Absolutely. And at the school that I'm at, I'm taking them all, right? It's a no cut sport, both cross country and track. I think I've got about 60 cross country runners, and then we top out at over 200 track and field athletes in my program. So it's awesome.
I gotta come to one of your meets. That would be so fun.
Absolutely. We'll be hosting three this year at Norcross. So come one, come all.
Yes, I totally will. What do you love most about coaching high school athletes?
It's it's so incredible to like see the kids put in all this effort, right? And it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out. It doesn't work out. And then when it clicks for them, it's incredible to see them realize that that endurance and that investment that they've been putting in was worth it. And even if it wasn't worth it in terms of the time, it may be worth it for bettering themselves, sort of thing. It's just incredible to watch them realize that they can do hard things too,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, it they can do hard things, and when they figure it out versus just coach being like, "You can do this, you can do this, you can do this. I swear you can do this, you got this." But watching them grow that faith in themselves versus coach believes in them more than they do, it's really cool to see.
I love that. I mean, I still say to this day that my time in track and cross country is what taught me like mental resilience and endurance that I'm able to carry on in all aspects of my life. Parenting, ministry. I'm like, I really feel like a lot of that came from the discipline and endurance of running.
And being at a public school, it's hard to sometimes marry your faith with what you're doing, right? But my kids tend to go off and they will do their pre-run prayers, which is cool. And watching them kind of do that. But one of the things is we talk about their ability to do hard things. And then I've had some kids be like, "Oh, like Philippians 4:13." I was like, "Yes." But I can't. I'm not the one pushing that. But when they recognize that they can do hard things and just, I think as a running coach too, it's they can do hard things. But I think in the racing and running, one, it hurts everyone, right? Like you just said, it was such hard work, and the perseverance that you needed to have is so important. But whether or not you're running a 15-minute 5K or a 30-minute 5K, it hurts both. And it takes so much effort for both. So it's really cool to see like them recognize that the hurt is worth it sometimes.
Oh, so good. Yeah, that's a good life lesson. The hurt is worth it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You can push through. What other spiritual lessons or life lessons do you hope that your athletes will carry on from your time with you and even beyond in their lives?
So I think we've said like they can pretty much do anything they want to do, right? And that life is hard. Running is hard, faith is hard, all these things are hard. But you can do it. Like you've got the ability to do it. And as long as you're putting that work in, that it's going to be worth it at some point. And that endurance and that faith that what you are putting in is going to be worth it is really important. Because it may not be worth it for a race, but like you're saying, it throughout your life, you're going to have challenges and you have to be able to push through. And running is what we've had a lot of kids learn that through. So
So good. Yeah, so good. So on Sunday, I talked a little bit about how like a specific time in my life where I was running and wanting to fake pass out and wanting to fake an injury so I didn't have to finish because I was mentally weak, as you know, I still sometimes am and have to like, you know, pull it together and endure. But anyways, I talked a bit about hearing the crowd and how hearing people who love you and are supporting you and cheering you on can help you kind of have that extra umph to persevere. And I was wondering if there's a time that you can think of where hearing the encouragement of the crowd or even one person in the crowd helped you persevere in running or in life. What do you think?
So I don't necessarily know what this says about me, but it's less the cheering, and it's a little bit of the doubt that you
Mm,
hear is more important. And I think it's for me, it's the doubt in others' minds or in your own mind about what can be done is more impactful than just that encouragement. And I've had great encouragers throughout my life, which is fantastic, and I wouldn't be here without them, sort of thing. But as silly as it is, there was a race when I was in high school, and like you said, I there's nothing easier when running than stopping. You just want to stop so bad because there's so much pain and you can just make it stop like by stopping. And that's so easy. But once you stop once, stopping another time is incredibly easier. And
mhm,
that's kind of one of the things that I try to keep my kids away from doing. So I try to develop a positive relationship with running. And that was a very interesting time because I ran a whole season where I would smile during my races. And so I was smiling, like grinning ear to ear. I had long hair, not like this, but pushed up into like a lion's mane um, that would flop over every time I'd run. And you could hear the parents being like, is he smiling? It's not even hurting him. Like, and that was the juice that I was like, oh yeah, I'm fooling them. Let's go. Like it was next level that like once I had heard that little bit of doubt from those parents, like, there's no way, like, oh no, I was like, okay, I got it. Like, that's the juice that I needed. And then, of course, towards the end of a meet, there's so much encouragement at the end of a cross country race. As cross country races, they're very hard to follow because it's usually a giant open field or through the woods that everyone kind of conglomerates around towards the finish, right? And so it almost is not, it's no longer encouragement, but it's just noise. And that noise, and when you hear the noise, you just know you're so close to being done. And when that
mm.
noise gets louder and louder, you know you've done it, sort of thing. And then there's a nice calm that is truly that I'm done, which is really helpful when you're running.
It's so true. Oh my goodness. So you are like the embodiment of let your haters be your motivator. That's what I hear. You're like, oh, you
Absolutely.
think I'm struggling? I'm not struggling. I am gonna finish and I'm gonna make it look easy.
Yep. And it that kind of goes back to like my coaching. I cross country and track allows me to, I don't want to say be different people with coaching, but I see myself a little bit more of a chameleon when it comes to coaching. I'm always there to give you what you need, not what you want. So if you're getting a whole lot of something, I'm going to give you the opposite, right? And just give you everything that you need. And sometimes I've told the kids I'm a D1 hater. Like if everyone's gassing you up, don't get me wrong. Like I'm gonna come in and bring you back down to earth a little bit. And if you're hearing it at home, because we've got a ton of kids throughout my coaching career who like their parents are their sometimes their biggest motivators, but sometimes their biggest haters, which is real sad. But also, I had a kid not run his best race, and he was real down, and he was like, "I know, coach. Like, let me hear it." And I was like, "Why would I do that?" why would I give you that? Like, I already know you're gonna hear it on your car ride home. I know you're talking to yourself negatively. I'm fine with what happened. We'll move on and run another race. Um, so I can be a kid's biggest motivator, but I can also be a D1 hater if they want me to. Whatever works for them, whatever they need.
Whatever's needed. Wow. Well, I did tease that I would share a brief story about a 5K I chose to run, the Atlanta Thanksgiving half. And I'm wondering what your D1 hater or your motivator coach self would say to pass Morgan. So I was running the Thanksgiving half and I was so cocky because I was like, "Psh, 4 years ago in cross country, this would be nothing. I don't have to train." So I literally ran the Thanksgiving half without training. I also made a promise to myself that I would not walk. So, and so obviously I'm competitive as well. So I was trying to do my best. And then afterwards, I literally got home and I could not move. I could not
Yep.
go to the table to eat. So
Hmm.
I had to eat alone. And from the other room, I heard all my little family and they were laughing. And I was like, "What's so funny? What stories are you telling?" But I was laying on the couch eating
They're like,
my
come on in.
Thanksgiving. I was like, I literally could not move. They had to make my plate and bring it to me. It was very sad for days. And I was like, what would your D1 hater coach self tell me that could help me learn to train and um, be better next time?
Well, since you're looking for that D1 hater, I'm going to switch it up on you just a little bit. You did it
Okay.
exactly how you're supposed to do it. So, and with that being said, so I coach mostly high school runners and some like younger runners that become high school runners. But a lot of adults ask me for advice on running, and a lot of times it's half marathons, full marathons, and stuff like that. And I will say, as crazy as this sounds, train for a long time before a race, or don't train at all.
What?
Um, so if you say, "Hey, I've got a half marathon in a month," I'm going to say not to train. If you've got 2 months, I'll say go ahead. Let's formulate a training program, because if you do not train before a race like that, you probably performed better than you would have if you had trained for a very short period of time, because your adrenaline and your endorphins kicked in. And so you ran a great race. Now you're going to pay for that after 1,000%. And that's where I'll come in and say, like, you paid for it. I don't need to tell you that you paid for it. Right. So that should be your own thought process of being like, okay, like maybe I will train for it going forward. But that training needs to happen over an extended period of time versus a quick train. So it's one of those, be about that life or don't. Both of them work, but you can't be half about that life. And that kind of goes back into running in general. It's really, really hard to do, and it's hard for everyone, no matter if they're a a runner who runs every single day or someone who's just trying to get out the door and run for the first time. It hurts everyone. It's just about how bad you want it to hurt after.
That's good. That's good, coach. I'm thinking about signing up for another one, and maybe this time I will train for a long time.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be an everyday thing. It's more about the consistency of running. And I tell all my athletes that, even my like very new runners, they're like, "Oh, what do you mean I run every day?" And I was like, "I'd rather see you shake your legs out and run a mile or two every day than run 10 and then don't run for a week." You may run the same amount of miles, but that consistency is what's going to reap the benefits. Like we said, Galatians 6:9, that you will harvest that at the end, by putting in the hard work and the consistency over time.
So good. Oh, well, I am so grateful for this conversation. Any parting words for those who are trying to figure out how to let running be a um, kind of a thing that motivates their faith and informs their faith and what they can learn.
Absolutely. I think one running in general um, is it can be very peaceful for some people, and it's a quiet time to just be with your thoughts. And sometimes those thoughts definitely allow for a better communicative relationship with God. And so if you're struggling to find that time to talk with God, I think running in general, no matter if it's a few minutes here or a few minutes there, or you want to go for an hour every day of the week, you will find yourself being like, oh, I can't talk to myself anymore. I need to have some conversations with some other people. And if you're running by yourself, there's tends to be one person who's always with us. So that conversation becomes easier and easier the longer you continue to run. So
Well, thank you. And I am excited to see your family on Sunday.
absolutely can't wait to see you guys.
All right. Have a good one. Thank
You too.
you.
No problem.
Bye.